This is the Purple Passion Project with host and clinical sexologist, Dr. Stacy Friedman. This is your go-to podcast for raw, real, and irresistibly juicy conversations about sex, intimacy, connection, and everything in between. Whether you're feeling a little stuck in your love life, curious about what turns you on, or just craving conversations that actually matter, you're in the right place. So now, please welcome the host of the Purple Passion Project, Dr. Stacy Friedman.
What do you get when you mix purple, passion, and permission to be your true self? This podcast. Hi, I'm Dr. Stacy, and I am your host of the Purple Passion Project, coming to you live and unfiltered. This is the show where we're going to talk sex, intimacy, connection, and everything underneath the surface, because let's be honest, small talk is boring and you're ready for the good stuff. So relax, drop your guard, and get ready for truth, laughs, maybe a few gasps, and a whole lot of passion. So today's guest is a true master of love, intimacy, and transformation. Robyn Vogel is a trauma-informed psychotherapist with over 25 years of experience, also an internal family systems practitioner, Tantra Intimacy Coach, master facilitator, and author. Can we add anything else? She sounds amazing, and I can't wait till you all meet her. She's led transformational workshops and retreats all around the globe, helping thousands of people heal their hearts. She's also created a Ready for Love program, which we're going to talk about and learn more, as well as Come Back to Love 4 Gates approach. These are powerful methods that are going to guide people to heal from heartbreak, betrayal, and pain. So we want to bring Robyn on so we can say hello. There she is.
Hello.
You have done a lot. Whew. This is great. I'm really looking forward to hearing all about all this great stuff, because I know that your work is definitely needed, because once they can heal and become into love, then I get to work with them on the sex part.
Yes.
All that. Awesome. So according to what I've heard you share, that you've had your own journey through, loss and stuff as a child, and becoming this guide now for love and intimacy. So give us a little background about your story, your path, and how it got you here.
Sure. Yes. Dive right into the deep, painful stuff.
We want to know all about you.
Absolutely. Oh, yes. I had a lot of loss. I've had a lot of loss in my life. And the first one was when I was actually 10 years old. And even before that, my mother got sick when I was 6 years old. She was in her early 30s, and she kind of disappeared at that point because, she was terrified. She had a lot, a big healing journey ahead of her, and a lot of uncertainty, and like I said, a lot of fear. Right. So she fought for about 4 years, and then she died when I was 10 years old. That's young. It's interesting. When I was growing up, obviously that was like such a major trauma. And I was, confused for many years, because I think I came in, and maybe all of us do, like sort of expecting the Brady Bunch type of life. Yeah. So I was really shocked beyond my grief, that was devastating. As the years went on, I was really just shocked that anything like that could possibly happen. And then I started to also unravel, like, well, it's not just the death, like what else happened? And it feels relevant here, because as I started to uncover and ask questions and talk to my father and learn more of the story, the thing that I realized was that it wasn't only the illness and her death, it was also that they had hid it from us, from me and my sister. And so the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Like they told us that she was sick 2 months before she died. And that piece around hiding and secrets and shame and what's okay to talk about.
Like a betrayal?
Yeah. And relates so much to the topics of love, intimacy, and sex. Because often we find shame, we find people hiding, not able to speak about things openly, not having permission to talk about things openly. So that was a really big piece, in addition to, of course, the grief and the loss, to figure out what was okay to talk about. Like, where is the shame coming from? And it was really just because they hid something. And so I created a belief that it wasn't okay to talk about
Right.
it.
And so as you got older, you felt that this was such an important piece that kind of dove you into this field. Is that kind of how you got into the field?
It wasn't like a direct route, but yes.
Right.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I was married, I got divorced. I learned a lot in that process. And I have to say and acknowledge openly that it actually was my ex-husband who, on the other side of our divorce, when we were still doing couples work together because we were co-parenting, who
Right.
said to me one day outside the office of the therapists we were working with, he said, you should do this work. Like, you're really good at it. And you have learned so much in the process that we have just gone through. And I was, I was already working as a therapist at the time, or maybe just starting out my journey. But from that point on, I shifted to working with couples, to really focusing on intimacy, to studying Tantra, and bringing these things together in my
Well, I feel like a lot of times our experiences are what brings us to our life choices for our careers. I know for me, it did. That my intimate and sexual experiences that I struggled with, that I went through, I said, you know what, there's got to be more people out there like that can help others. And so I'm like, I'm going to do this. So it sounds like that your journey brought you to where you are. So that's, you don't want to say that it was worth it, but, especially when you've had such trauma and sadness, but, we're here to learn from our story. So you're all about coming back to love, which you could see on your name there, come back to love. So when you say, if I can come back to love, anyone can, what does that mean for someone who feels just broken or hopeless about where they're at right now, or they can't find what they're looking for?
Yeah, thank you. I'll start with another piece of my personal story in there, which is, and this is in my book upcoming in February, but I definitely wrote this part of the story down because of the loss and the perceived rejection and abandonment of the experience of losing my mother. I told myself, I think it's important to say that out loud. Like, we tell ourselves all kinds of things based on our experiences, and we're young when these things happen. So the things we're telling ourselves are not necessarily the truth. And often they are definitely not the truth.
Right.
One of the things that I told myself was that love, in the way that I witnessed around me from parents to children at that time, or between parents, was for somebody else. So it made sense to me, like it was black and white, like, well, I didn't get it, so it must be for other people. And so I told myself that story, and I wasn't aware that I had told myself that story until I was aware. I had witnessed.
I mean, it's interesting to think of it, but go on. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I had witnessed some friends some people that I was participating in an initiation training with for a couple of years when I was in my early 30s. And I was witnessing them being like really loving and like sweet and connected and just so open with each other. And I was like looking at them across the room and thinking, wow, and I heard myself say, that's not for me.
Wow.
Yeah. And then I was like, wait, what did I just say?
Right.
I couldn't even believe that I heard that voice in my head. Like, that's not for me. That's for other people. And in that moment, I just was like, oh my goodness, no, that is absolutely not true. And it is for me. And from there, I know I got them too.
It's powerful. It's a powerful moment. And, sometimes it takes something to just click. And when you lose, you have such a loss at that age. I mean, I know I lost my mom a few years ago, and she was very, young, I say, 69, 70 years old. And that it was a traumatic experience being 54, but to be 10 years old. And that's kind of the stage where you need your parents, you need your family, your mom. It's
Absolutely.
powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that kind of like made you click and be like, okay, this is for me. Was that kind of like the
Yes.
turning point?
Yes, this is for me. It was definitely a turning point. And there was so much to overcome. I mean, I only told you a speck of the story and our listeners a speck of the story.
Right.
But the words come back to love, because after that I had a partner. I was married and divorced. I was then in love with like just beloved. And very sadly, he died 5 years after I met him. And so I felt like when I came upon the mantra, come back to love, as I was meditating on my business and where I was headed with it, I thought, gosh, if I can do this, like definitely anybody else can, because it was just my father also died, was in my early 30s. It was just like loss, loss, loss. And moving from this place of really not believing that it was for
It was
me.
for you, that you were worthy.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so that just came through really strongly. Like, if I can do this, I really believe anybody can do it.
Yeah. And that is a common, thing that I see a lot is people are like, well, I'm not worthy of pleasure. I'm not worthy of happiness. And it's like, why? It's like, oh, well, because I was told different, or I was seen as different being younger. And a lot of it does seem to come from those younger years, and so that definitely affects your ability getting older, connecting, trusting, and everything like that later in your relationships.
Mhm.
And so when people are feeling hopeless, is it just them finally realizing they are worthy? Is that kind of like that aha moment that they need to get to?
Well, I was lucky. I had the aha moment. I think I was lucky and blessed that happened. It's not that I haven't done a ton of other, what I call excavation work,
Right.
to find the other beliefs. And that is the work that I do with people. Like, if they have an aha moment, wonderful. And either way, there's still excavation work to do to find those beliefs, to find the limiting beliefs, to understand where they came from, to redo the story that got them to those limiting beliefs, to return energies. I mean, on and on, right?
Right. But that's the important thing, is figuring out where it came from, so that way they can understand why they're feeling a certain way. And I know that I share a lot of times with my clients about changing the story. You don't have to follow the same book. You could write your own chapter. You could write your own book like you're doing. You can do these things, and that makes all the difference in the world, is when you are in control of your future, you know?
Absolutely, 100%.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. So, little guy in the back there. We're just going to
Just show up here all the time. What can I say?
a little peeker guy. The people that are not able to see this are like, what is she talking about? There's a little guy
Right.
walking back and forth. I just want to take a quick little commercial break, and then I want to talk about the back to love approach that you have, so people can understand how it all works. So we'll be back in just a minute.
If you enjoy these podcasts with Dr. Stacy, imagine the results you can get from a personal coaching session. As a clinical sexologist and certified sex coach with over 2 decades of experience, Dr. Stacy helps people just like you reignite passion, explore their desires, and break through blocks that may be holding you back, solo or with a partner. Whether you're struggling with communication, desire mismatch, performance anxiety, or simply want to feel more confident and connected in your sex life, Dr. Stacy is here to help. She offers a complimentary 15-minute consult so you can see if working together feels right. Visit drstacyfriedman.com to schedule your free call today, and let's take your passion to the next level.
And we're back with Robyn Vogel. We want to talk a little bit about your come back to love. You talked about a 4 gates approach. And so I wanted to hear a little bit about what the gates are and how does that help people open up to actually come back to love.
Yes.
So give us a little background.
Sure. Thanks for asking. You mentioned that I am a psychotherapist, which I am, and I've also studied sex coaching and Tantra, like, as you know. But working as a psychotherapist, obviously, for many years, very focused on the emotional. And I'm adding this as a preface to the 4 gates, because it took a little bit of time to realize, to doing that work in an intensive way for a while, to see that it was getting people just so far.
Mhm.
Also, sometimes it would take a really long time, which I'm not a fan of. I'm a fan of like,
People want things quick. They want to get
yeah, and me
results quick.
too. I don't
Right.
want to waste people's time and money. I want people to like get to the
Get
healing and
results. Yeah.
move forward. Yes. And I want that for myself, of course. So, and the same thing was happening with me. I was doing a lot of the emotional work, but until I started doing embodiment work and until I started looking at neuroplasticity, the brain, and how we can rewire and remold our thoughts and behaviors and patterns, I wasn't getting to like the full healing that I wanted for myself and also that I wanted for my clients. So when I started bringing in other pieces and other methods, the Four Gates approach kind of rolled out in front of me. And the truth is, I was literally walking down a very long and winding path in the state of Maine down to the beach.
Literally walking down a path.
I was literally walking.
I just, walking down the path. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I'm going to say that also. But first, literally walking down the path.
Okay.
To a cove at the beach in Maine, where some clients of mine were getting married. And they had invited me to the wedding, which was very nice of them.
Right.
I love witnessing that. So, and I was like, wow, okay, this is the path. This is the path to love, literally. And
Right.
also, of course, the work that I do. And then I just started imagining, like, as I was walking, and I wasn't making this up. What I'm saying is, it sort of came to me that there was a gate that you'd stop at and you'd spend some time there. And then there was another and another and another. So 4 gates. And at each gate, you stop and do some work. And so that's how kind of the 4 gates approach came to be. The 4 gates being the first one, the emotional, because yes, we need to do lots of the emotional
work.
healing work because, that's what it is to be human. The second gate, we focus on the mind, focus on the neuroplasticity tools that I have just come to so love because they are so powerful in changing really all of life, to be honest. I did some major, major healing at this gate that had physical components, emotional components, spiritual components. Gate 3, speaking of the spiritual, has to do with our soul journey and why we're here. Like, if I look at myself, I say like, okay, had at least 3 major losses in my life. That's like pretty significant. Some people get to almost 60, as I am almost 60, and haven't had really any losses. So what is it about me and my soul journey that brings this experience and these experiences into my life? So that's a whole piece of exploration and understanding, which is really helpful on the healing journey. And then gate 4 has to do with the body and how we befriend or not our bodies. I spent a lot of time not befriending my body as a teenager.
I think a lot of people do that or don't.
Yes, exactly. And of course, the body piece weaves through, I've laid it out in a linear way because our brains really love the linear step-by-step process. Right. And we do move through the step-by-step process in, for example, my Ready to Love program, which you mentioned. Also, when people come to week-long retreats with me, we move through each of the steps in a slightly different way than we do in a 90-day program. And also my book tells my story and then leads the reader through the 4 gates. And it's really, really powerful. It's really powerful.
Well, it sounds like you're hitting all the things that need to be hit to be able to open somebody back up.
Right.
And I know that I did my own work for my own traumas because I've had, some major loss as well. And so I'm definitely resonating with everything that you're saying. And without the extra work that I did, I wouldn't be where I am right now because you get stuck and you need to be able to get to that place where you're able to move forward. And so it sounds like your program definitely has all of the components to be able to help people move forward. And so when people are dealing with trying to heal through either trauma or betrayal, and they are looking for love and they don't want to bring that into their next relationship, what are some ways that you can help them heal? What are some ways that people do heal from this so they can have a successful relationship?
Well, I think the first piece is really the most important, and that is not doing what I call a trauma bypass. A lot of people that come to work with me, a lot of them have been divorced
Right.
or at least having had ended a relationship, like you just said, a betrayal, a breakup, a heartbreak. Um, and they want to be in relationship again.
Right.
And, love is
Right.
important.
Nowadays it's 50-50 people getting divorced. So it's like,
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of them looking for love.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and I was just going to say, we're kind of attached to love being something that feels really good to
Mhm.
us. And because of that, sometimes people will bypass the things that are important to look at before stepping into the next relationship. So I call that a trauma bypass. And the way that you're in a trauma bypass is if you keep repeating the same pattern over and over again. So you keep choosing somebody who's got narcissistic tendencies, or it seems to you like, oh my gosh, I've been through this before. This feels like
Basically ignoring your red flags.
ignoring your red flags. Or, yes, ignoring your red flags, but also, so the red flags are obvious, and sometimes we see them and we just say like, bye-bye
And
now.
we just ignore it. Right.
Ignore that. But a lot of times it's not obvious because
Okay.
it's in the subconscious, and we find ourselves attracted to similar energy over and over again.
Got it.
And that, I think, is the most tricky, because people will always ask me, like, how do I know if I'm in a trauma bypass? And I'm like, okay, well, let's look at a timeline.
Let's look at your history, right?
Who are the people you keep attracting, and where are the themes? And, people usually come to me when they're like so frustrated because they just can't
I keep doing the same thing. Help me.
right, I can't do this again. I keep attracting the same person, and they're
Right.
an alcoholic, or they're
So it's almost like they know that they're doing the same thing. So that's when they come to you and they're like, okay, I realize I'm doing the same thing, but why? How do I get out of it?
Yeah, exactly. So that's really a really important awareness piece, is like, are you doing trauma bypass? And then, okay, I just did a whole talk on this the other day, which is the trauma that we know about, and then the trauma that we don't know about. So, I told you my story. There's data points, right? My mother was alive. She got sick. Then she died. Data,
Right.
But then there's all these other things beneath the surface, all the ways I interpreted that, all the beliefs. I told you one, there was like a gazillion, all the layers that are in the subconscious and the unconscious, both. And so really my work is not for the faint of heart, because we're going there.
Yeah,
Like,
you need to
you
get
really,
everyone's crying.
yeah, if you really, really want to make the change and
Yeah.
have like the most amazing life that
Right.
includes an incredible relationship, then that's the work we're going to do.
Well, it makes sense because you're bringing all the stuff that brought you down years back, all through the years. And if you
Right.
don't release all of that, and I think that's important for people to realize, is that even though you might be like, okay, well, I know this happened, but I'm just going to move forward without getting any of the work done.
Yeah.
You might know, like you said, but then the subconscious is telling you so much more. And I know that when I had the issues with both my parents dying within a year and a half of each other, that was very traumatic with me. And I was just like, oh, I'm going to be okay. No, I wasn't. I just thought, okay, well, I know it happened. I know why I feel this way. But until you get into that deep healing part,
Yeah.
you're not going to be able to have the great relationship. And I even notice now that my relationship, even though it's always been great, just my energy, like you had mentioned about energy, the energy shift has changed as well.
Right.
So do you work a lot with singles, you said? People that are looking obviously for love.
Yeah, I work with both. I work with a lot of singles. My Ready for Love program in 90 days is for singles. Like we just said, they're looking for love. They've come out of some kind of heartbreak or heartache, or sometimes they're just single for so long and they're just like, what is going on? Why am I still single?
Why am I single? Do you feel that there's like a certain shift, a mind shift that they need to make in order to find a better relationship? Do you see a lot of the similarities between some of them?
Yeah, I mean, the mind shifts come when we find those beliefs, when we do the excavation work. I don't deserve it. I don't deserve pleasure. I only deserve to have this much in my life, or, that's for other people. I'm going to screw it up. A lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to screw this one up like I screwed the other one
Screw
up.
the other ones up.
Yeah. And
so
more, et cetera.
Yeah. So then if someone wants to be able to, find out what their number one block to love is, what do they do once they find it? Is it just a change of mindset? Is it doing other internal work?
It's definitely doing other internal work. Yeah. Because mindset change doesn't just happen. The brain, and I love this neuroscience work. I mean, the brain gets stuck in patterns.
Interesting. It's fascinating, actually.
It's fascinating. Yes. The neurons that fire, they fire the way that they are used to firing. They just repeat a pattern over and over again because it's the easiest way from point A to point B. So it just gets established and the groove in the brain gets really deep. But if we want to create a new groove, we have to actually put effort and energy into making it happen. Right. I often will describe it as like marbles on top of a mountaintop, and the groove that's the deepest, the marble is just going to go down that groove because it's easy. Like it's just going to go down that groove. And we actually have to put effort and time and, motion into action, into creating another groove so that the marble can go down a different pathway. And so it's finding, but that's really just the very first step. And then there's the healing, and there's the healing on the emotional level. And then there's the healing on the level of the brain, because we can do the emotional work and that's great. And that does change things. Absolutely. But the brain is stuck in patterns and needs to learn how to refire the neurons so that a new pattern gets developed, so that a new belief settles into the body. And you actually believe now, I'm worthy of love. I'm an amazing person. Anybody would be lucky to be in relationship with me.
Amen.
Exactly. Yes.
It's not easy. I mean, I know so many times, you have the story, okay, look in the mirror and say you're beautiful. Look in the mirror and do this. You could do that. It's a good start. Mm-hmm. The thing is believing it. How do you truly believe it? Because you could sit there and you could say it over and over again, but if your mind is not working to clear all the other crap out, it's hard to truly believe that. And I think that's when that magic happens, is when that belief system finally kicks in, where you're like, I am worth it. And you walk with bigger shoulders and confidence, right?
Definitely. People ask about that mirror exercise a lot. And like you said, it's a good one. And speaking from an internal family systems perspective, because it's work that I've been doing and studying for many years as well, as soon as you do something like that, you look in the mirror and you say, like, I'm beautiful. Right. And then all these other parts inside yourself will show up. No, you're not.
No, you're not. You're just fat. You're ugly.
You're too old. You're too, right. Exactly. All the other noise. And those parts just aren't ready yet to fully believe what you're saying. So the internal work is so important to, again, quiet those voices down in a very specific way. I mean, internal family systems has a very specific protocol that we use, and it's so helpful to allow those parts to quiet down.
Yeah. Well, I try to get people to start with something that is not so like your boobs or, things that could be fat. I could say, just say you have pretty earlobes, or maybe you have long eyelashes. So that way it kind of helps initially with some of that negative voice, because no one's going to say, well, no, I don't really have nice eyelashes. They might pick one or two things to at least get that practice, because it's uncomfortable for people to actually talk positive about themselves.
Yeah, really is.
It really is. I was amazed to see that so many people are just not wanting to be good to themselves. They always, they're doing it for other people, but then when it's time to take care of themselves, they wonder why they can't find what they want. It's because you're not loving yourself first.
Exactly.
That's important. Exactly. So I want to talk a little bit when we come back from our break, a little bit about the Tantra that you weave into your coaching and getting into that deeper connection, because I think that's all that stuff is really juicy. I like that.
Sure.
So we'll be right back.
Looking to spice things up in the bedroom? Dr. Stacy's got you covered. From luxurious lotions to silky lubes and tantalizing toys, Our collection has everything you need to turn up the heat and reignite that spark. Whether you're flying solo or with a partner, our products are designed to enhance intimacy and pleasure. Use the coupon code PURPLE and get 20% off your entire order. Visit drstacyfriedman.com, click the shop link, and explore our full range of goodies that are sure to bring out the fun in the bedroom. Let's make every moment more exciting. Dr. Stacy's Tantric Toys, where pleasure meets purpose.
Okay, we're here with Robyn and we're talking Tantra now. I want to talk a little bit about intimacy and deeper connection and how you weave the Tantra into your coaching. And I want to learn a little bit more about, obviously I know about Tantra. I know a little bit how it works. It's not one of my specialties. And so I love to hear more. And I know that people love to hear more about it because it is something that people are like, oh, I just have to look into their eyes. It doesn't sound very intriguing. I get that all the time. Like someone will walk in, it's like, if you tell me to look into my partner's eyes, I'm walking out of here. And I was just like, oh. I literally had someone do that. And I was like, all right, well, how do we go forward from here? So how does Tantra help people, not just in the bedroom, but through just the whole healing process?
Right.
Give us some ideas.
Yes, exactly what you said. Tantra is, it's a complex topic because it's an ancient practice, millions, thousands, millions of years ago. And in the West, we have it very focused on sex. And just like you said, it's not only about sex. Tantra is a very deep practice that opens up our awareness, opens up connection to what's greater in our lives, and supports us in living a better life while we're here on the planet in all areas of our life. I always say, like, when we practice Tantra, everything's better. Our days are better.
I feel like Tantra makes you present.
Yeah, we're present. So everything is better in our lives. And yes, also sex can be better. In fact, the way that I discovered Tantra was making love and having this experience of kind of much, much greater than I had ever experienced before in terms of my connection to, I didn't even have words for it at the time, I will say. Connection to spirit, connection to God is what I felt. I had never really even said that word out loud. But after making love with my partner, I was like, I think I felt something I would call God.
Wow.
Yeah. And he was like,
Like, keep talking.
Yeah. He was like sort of a little further on his journey than I was around this piece. He was just like, yeah. And then we started studying and we started teaching right away, which was really interesting because I was in a completely different place in my life and my work. It just was like a course correction type of moment. And so I started embracing these practices that had me feeling like I was with myself, loving myself, connected to my body, in my heart. And like you said, more present. And so, yes, we do invite eye gazing because when we look at each other and we slow down our lives, slow down our breath, get present, like everything in life is better. The whole body opens. Exactly.
Yeah. And I know one of the things that I like to tell people also, where not saying that Tantra is teasing, but it gives you the opportunity, like you said, to slow it down. And when I tell people, don't just go in for the kiss, just get to a place where you're like this, and you would actually feel an energy pull. You would actually just sitting there and not doing anything. Your body almost wants to like move forward, And so that energy, that calmness, that peace, the slowness of it all just allows you to be there, to be present.
Yes.
Do you have any good ideas for someone that's completely new to Tantra to maybe give them like a little exercise they can try after listening to this juicy episode? What is something that they can do to start?
Yeah, well, I'll say this. I do a lot of introductory Tantra workshops. I mean, that's
awesome.
I teach the range. And so I really love having new people come in and show up, and with curiosity, usually fear for some reason, well, because it's vulnerable, can be vulnerable. Yeah. So I just want to invite anybody listening that's interested, like, yeah, find a teacher, like explore, get a book, start to read. And the thing about where to start is the first question is like, are you sitting down and meditating for a few minutes each day? Tantra is about meditation. It's about the breath. It's about connecting to our bodies. So really, I would say if it's a solo person practicing, I would say start to meditate, even just 3 to 5 minutes a day. Longer is better. For me, it takes me 3 to 5 minutes just to calm down.
Right. Well, I'm glad you said 3 to 5 minutes just as a helpful tip, because so many people can be like, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for that.
Right. Right.
Exactly. Saying 3 to 5 minutes, even though you might want to do it more, at least you're starting somewhere.
Yes. As my old friend Andy used to say, a little bit of meditation is better than no meditation. And I totally agree. And then if you have a partner and you're wanting to practice Tantra or just get to know a little bit, sit down with them face to face, make eye contact, and take some breaths together. There's a very, very simple practice that's called synchronized breath. And yes, and for me, it's just the way to reconnect with your partner after you've been out all day doing all the different things you're doing separately from each other. Come back, sit face to face, like don't sit facing out on the couch, like most people do. Actually sit face to face with each other and take a breath, like exhale to empty out, and then make some eye contact, take a breath together, inhale, exhale together. Even just doing that, honestly, like 3 or 4 times, the whole body starts to relax. Shoulders,
you can feel it in your yoni, in your vajayjay. Yes. You can feel it just blossoms. And all you women out there trying it right now, try it right now and breathe and you'll feel it.
Yes. Yeah. And then there's connection. That's the thing. Everybody's looking for connection, and it's right inside ourselves. And humans spend all this time looking outside for connection. Actually, it's right inside. And all we really need to do is stop, pause, breathe, ground, which is another piece of the puzzle there, and connect. Yeah.
I think it's also important to mention, because I know that a lot of people, when I was telling you that the client that had walked in and said, if you tell me to look in her eyes, a lot of people have a difficult time looking in their eyes. And they may turn their eyes like, looking and then just constantly kind of looking away, or maybe they'll start laughing. And so I try to let them know it's normal and it takes practice. Is that kind of how you feel? That it's just something that you have to build on?
I do. And I also encourage people in that moment to close their eyes, because when I started practicing, I told you about the mystical moment of connecting with God. And then we started doing classes together, and I was leading and I was also participating. And when I participated in the beginning, I just closed my eyes the whole time.
Okay.
Because I just wasn't comfortable.
Yeah, there's no right or wrong.
No. I literally, probably for the first year, I would sit with people, with them in front of me. I could feel them, their energy.
Right.
But I would close my eyes because it was too much to have my eyes open. So sometimes what I will encourage people to do is like take hands with the person in front of you with permission, if everyone's in agreement with that level of touch, and then just close your eyes and breathe. And that's great. That's so beautiful.
Yeah, no, definitely helpful, because like I said, a lot of people I know are just not comfortable with that. And so it's helpful to know that you could still do the work and still practice and just change it up a little bit. Close your eyes until you're ready. One of the misconceptions that you mentioned is that sex and intimacy are limited concepts. So I wanted to check in and see exactly what you mean by that.
That's
Are we opening up? Yeah, we're opening up some worms here.
No, it's great. It's great. I love it. I was like, did I say that? Yes, limited concepts. Oh my goodness. When I first started my journey, I thought that sex, love, and intimacy were all the same. And if I didn't feel like being intimate with my husband at the time, I backed away from all those things together. So I backed away
Which
from
many people do.
yes, I backed away from intimacy and I backed away from sex. Once I understood that those were three different entities that do overlap with each other, but they're actually separate, I could then be emotionally intimate, or I could love, and then I could choose if I wanted to have sex or not have sex. And so that's one thing I think is really important. Like you said, a lot of people do that. And I think it's really important to name it, so that our listeners can think to themselves about whether they're lumping those things all together. In terms of sex, like I like to use the word the erotic. I mean, there's sex, there's like the physical act of sex, right? Or we can say the physical act of penetration and the physical act of oral sex and the physical act, like many different, we don't have to, again, it's another lumping together of a whole bunch of activities. They're actually quite distinct from each other, right?
Right. So erotic is kind of putting it all in one umbrella. Yeah,
but also like beyond those sexual acts, like what else is erotic? What else gives you the tingly feeling and the feeling of arousal, the feeling of higher vibration? Like for me, I love riding my bicycle because the wind blows through my hair. And for those of you that aren't watching the video, like I've got sort of thick curly hair. And so when the wind goes through it, it feels really good. And
like that's all the curls.
Right. Yeah. But that to me is in the realm of the erotic because I feel uplifted. I feel kind of turned on. I feel like, you know,
that's the way I am when I drive my convertible. I have a convertible and you put the top down and the sun's on you. You feel the heat from the sun. You feel the wind in your hair. And it's just like,
yes,
you know, it just gives you goosies everywhere.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's an important concept to understand that they are limited, they are separate. And I know that when I'm working with clients to try to help them understand that you can have the intimacy and not focus on that sexual aspect of it, because so many times people stop doing the intimate work because they fear the sexual work or they don't want to move to that place. And so they're like, oh, well, if I do this, then it's going to lead to this.
Right.
And so we want to try to get people to understand that we can have both or all.
Yes. And also that we can say yes and we can say no.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. And so once you find that some of your clients or some of your people that you work with actually do get to that healing point, and they embrace themselves with who they are, how do you see them getting into the relationships and how does a true partnership look like in that realm compared to where they came from?
Yeah. The first piece is once they've done the healing work and they start to feel ready, then the work that we do is kind of in parallel. So there's the internal work, which we're, mostly spending our time on. And I will say that there's a lot of external practices or reps, as somebody taught me recently, to practice different things over and over and over again that are low risk, but high reward because you're kind of building the muscle.
Right.
So we work in parallel with the internal and the external, getting people out, meeting people without all the pressure of like, first date, meaning like everything. I really, really encourage people just to like go on that date, have a good time, have coffee, only stay an hour, say goodbye, farewell, thank you. Look at the golden nuggets from any conversation. You get anything from a conversation. Even if you didn't like the conversation, you now have information that's golden for yourself.
Yeah, it helps you learn.
Yeah, totally. So for people out there that are listening that hate dating, I personally love dating for the reasons that I just said. I love it. I love meeting people. I love learning about their lives. That's me. But I know a lot of people don't feel that way.
Well, because I think too many people are going into the dates with too many expectations as well. Exactly. And they go into the date and thinking, oh, it didn't end up right. They didn't like me. I didn't like them. Oh, I'm so frustrated. But when you go in and you learn from those experiences and you're taking, like you said, those little nuggets from every experience to learn, what do I want? What do I need? I mean, I did that after my divorce. I went out on date after date after date after date with zero expectation, just wanting to get to know people and wanting to know, what do I really need in my life? And I think that once you go through, let's say your program for healing, and you're in a place where you are ready to get this true partnership, then you just don't want to take anything less. Those experiences are important to even have, right?
Absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So I want to get some information about where people can connect to you, look at your program, hear about your retreats, because it sounds like there's some really, really good retreats out there. I want to put on I know it already says your Come Back to Love, but I want to make it bigger so everyone can see.
Big, nice and big.
Yeah. So give people a little background on how they can find you and what kind of retreats and stuff you do.
Sure. So as you see on the screen, those of you watching, comebacktolove.com, and right on the homepage, you'll have access to a free gift, which is a video series that brings you through the journey, just a sort of a snippet of the journey, so you can assess for yourself too, like, am I ready for this journey? Is this the space I'm in right now in my life? Because like I said, we're going to go deep, whatever we do together. And on the other side is this sense of freedom and deep insight and understanding that you may not have ever felt before, and a real confidence around moving forward in relationship. And so in life, absolutely, 100%. One of my clients said to me recently, she said, every time I do something with you, I love myself even more than I did when I was.
That's awesome. What a compliment.
Such a compliment. I know.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Really, really beautiful to hear that, because that's what I feel like I'm here for.
Well, I was going to say, that's why we do the work we do, is to be able to help others. I mean, it really is, yes, of course we get paid, but the feeling, I know, I'm constantly, just talking to you, I'm constantly in all my sessions getting goosebumps when people are sharing like their positive experiences. And that just shows that you're in the right place. And it sounds like you are definitely in the right place, and people will definitely get value out of, your retreats and working with you and all that. So I definitely appreciate all that information you shared. Not only the wisdom, but your heart and your story. To be open with that. It's just proof that no matter how deep we're hurting, we also have capacity to heal, to reconnect, to love, being completely authentic.
Yes.
So that's awesome. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your story with us.
You're so welcome. It's an honor to be here, Stacy.
Thank you. So we're going to say goodbye to Robyn right now, and all her information will be in our show notes. So if you don't actually see it, you'll hear it or read it in the show notes, and we'll see you next time. Thank you very much for watching the Purple Passion Project on this episode, where we keep it real with the right amount of spice. If today stirred something in you, let it. And if you loved what you heard, make sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platforms. Also on my YouTube at Dr. Stacy Friedman. And if you're ready to even go deeper, follow me all over social media at Dr. Stacy Friedman for resources, tips, adult products, or just for some personal support. Until next time, stay curious, stay turned on, and never apologize for wanting more. We'll see you next time.
This has been the Purple Passion Project with host Dr. Stacy Friedman. Tune in each week as Dr. Stacy breaks down walls, busting myths, and gives you permission to want more with no shame, no filters, and definitely no small talk. Check in every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, on your favorite streaming platforms. We look forward to seeing you next time. Be sure to visit drstacyfriedman.com to learn more.